Hi, I'm Dave Henning, Executive Coach with the John Maxwell team. And today my guest is Avi Gingold with Legal Shield and Identity Theft Shield. And we're going to have a nice conversation today about how you can find help and protection when you need it the most. So Avi, welcome. Glad to have you here.
The pleasure to and honor to be on your program.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about Legal Shield for those who may have never heard of it. How long has it been around, and how did this come to be?
Well, that's a very interesting story because the company has been around for over 4 decades, but yet not many people in the United States and Canada know about this company. And it's very interesting because that company started out of a need and not out of the greed of an idea of, that someone had to make money. And actually, the founder was involved in a car accident in 1969. He was not at fault, but yet he was sued. So he asked his lawyer, how come I had health insurance to pay for my hospital fees? I had car insurance to get me a new car because his car was totaled. I had life insurance to pay, to take care of my family if I hadn't made it. But I had nothing to protect myself when I was sued for something that I wasn't at fault. And the lawyer at that time told him, you probably needed legal insurance. But there wasn't something like that. So in 1972, Mr. Herland C. Stonecipher started a mission to protect and provide equal access to the justice system in America.
Wow, that's fantastic. So 4 decades ago, that's a wonderful idea. So how did this idea develop? How is it structured? So, I mean, you've got 50 states in the United States. You've got all of Canada. How in the world can something like this be put together where people can have access to, a quality law firm? Because, as you know, there's a lot of attorneys out there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's a great question because Legal Shield came up with a very unique business model that utilizes crowdsourcing. So they actually revolutionized a very old industry with something that is known today as the digital disruptors. So what Uber did to the transportation industry, what Airbnb did to the hospitality industry, what Netflix did to the movie industry, Legal Shield actually did to the legal industry. And they basically made it available so everyone can pay a little bit every month, but collectively we are able to hire the top of the top law firms in each and every state. And with providing that kind of network, our members are actually the first class customers of their law firms because the law firms are getting paid collectively for their members in each and every state.
Wow. So there's a law firm, for example, here in California, Arizona, in each state, Colorado or Texas or wherever, North Carolina, that each state has their own top-notch law firm. Is that right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So Legal Shield researches and qualifies and retains a major law firm in each and every state in North America and in the major provinces in Canada. And that law firm is paid a percentage of every membership in their state every month. So the attorneys are prepaid and ready to serve. And what it allows them is really to focus on the customer versus to focus on how much money they have. So they don't care if you have money or not because they get paid anyway. And that's why they are able to provide a fantastic service.
So it sounds like the same thing that a big company or a movie star might do is have an attorney on retainer and have them basically kind of like on call. Am I hearing you right?
Absolutely, absolutely. What we allow the average person in America to have a law firm on call or an attorney on demand. And through a mobile app, you could actually tap a button and get connected to your law firm, including 24/7, 365 days a year in case of an emergency. Because would you agree that bad things happen to good people?
Oh, absolutely.
And many times things happen after hours, right? Maybe you're involved in a major accident at 10 o'clock at night, Or maybe the child protective services are knocking on your door at 8 p.m., wanted to remove your children from your custody because a neighbor complains that you are, hitting your kids. Or maybe you are being pulled over on a routine traffic check and suddenly the law officer wants to detain you, question or arrest you because they realize that there is a warrant for your arrest for something that you didn't do because maybe you've been a victim of identity theft. That's a good time to, hit that button and get an attorney on the phone right there and basically empower people to have the protection that they desire and need.
Wow, this is amazing. It must cost a fortune for someone like me to sign up. Is that right?
Not actually. It is priced in a very, very effective way. Probably it's the lowest service cost that people use in America. It costs less than your cell phone, less than your cable, less than any of the insurance says that you probably pay for. And it's about $1 a day for an entire.
Really? That's fantastic. Wow. Of course, they're not going to cover everything at that price, however. That seems like, $1 a day is incredible.
Absolutely. And of course, we cannot do everything for $1 a day. But most of the things that our member needs on a day-to-day, I covered under the $1 a day. And in fact, I've been using this service myself for about 15 years. And I never paid a penny beyond my monthly fees. And I'm still paying the same amount that I paid when I, started that service. And that's something which is very unique because Legal Shield has never raised the rates for existing customers in 46 years. So
that sounds like an amazing value right there, Avi.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it allows people to be rewarded for staying with us because our service doesn't have any long-term contract. It's month-to-month. And we believe that when you have a good service, you don't need to lock anybody into a long-term service. People stay with us for over 20 and 30 years, not because they have to, but because they want to.
So let's say that I'm using a cell phone service and they overcharge me or something. Would a lawyer talk to me and just answer legal questions at any time about anything?
Yes. In fact, our members have unlimited access to our law firm in all 50 states. So whether your matter is in California or in New Jersey, you have the same access. And you can call and ask questions on unlimited number of topics. So that empowers people to call and get advice, not only on things that happen to them, but also to use it for a preventive and in a proactive manner. So before they do something, they can get advice so they do the right thing and keep themselves out of trouble. And I've been using the attorneys almost on a weekly or monthly basis, not because I have a lot of legal problems, don't prejudge me, but because I've learned to use my attorneys as my counselors. They're my counselors for anything. So like big corporation where they have attorneys, a general counselor on a payroll, now every family can have a counselor for their family for about $1 a day. So they can ask questions on anything and get advice and make sure that they're doing the right thing and have a peace of mind and empowered.
So you raised another question that I had in my mind, and that is, it sounds like you're telling me that the entire family is covered on one membership? How does that work?
Absolutely. So we cover the member and the member's spouse or significant other, children up to the age of 26, never married, living at home or going to college anywhere. And these days, more kids are staying at home because they cannot afford to be on their own. So we are actually allowing that. And no matter if you have one child or 10 children, it's still the same rate. And if a family has a physically or mentally disabled child, living at home is actually covered for life. Today, there are many grandparents that are raising their grandchildren because of all kind of, reason. So if a parent is a legal guardian of a child under the age of 18, is covered as well. So we actually cover the whole entire American family for one low monthly rate.
Wow, that's fantastic. So Let me think of just some big items that might come up. For example, things like a living will or a trust or an uncontested divorce. Items like that. What about that?
Absolutely. So after 90 days of being a member, we will also cover an uncontested divorce, uncontested separation, uncontested name change. There are many women that after they got divorced, they want to go back to the maiden name. And, you know, it takes some money and some and attorneys to do that. And we actually do that for free. And also for an uncontested adoption. You know, families that would like to adopt a child, and we will do that for them, and it's all included in the membership. And for big items like a will, a healthcare directive, power of attorney, we actually provide that to our members at no additional cost. And not only for the member, but for all the entire covered family members. And we will allow them to update it once a month. Once a year, sorry. So this is something which is very important because we know that about 70–80% of the population does not have a last will and testament in place. However, 100% of us would need one. And in many states, if you die without a will, the state may have one for you, and your family members may not like it. So because of that, we have decided to extend it to all the family members. And just for trying out our membership, our law firm will prepare a standard will, healthcare directive, power of attorney for you and all your covered family members.
Now, this sounds great for families, but I can see the value here for, let's say, you're a corporation or a small business owner and you've got employees that are missing work because they've got to go to court for something or they've gotten a speeding ticket, for example. And so this could be, it sounds to me like a great value for businesses of all sizes to help their employees as well as reduce absenteeism, if as it were.
Absolutely, absolutely. And in fact, we have over 140,000 small businesses and corporations that are either using it for themselves. If they're a small business, less than 100 employees, they can actually buy a legal pen for the business. And bigger companies actually that have employees could actually offer it as a supplemental benefits to their employees. And it's actually one of the largest growing employee benefits today in America. Because what it does for the corporation is it helps keep their employees' body and mind focused on the job. So instead of having to take time off of work to deal with a traffic ticket, with a divorce, with a child custody issue, with an identity theft issue, now they have a service that can help them and do it for them while they can focus on their family and on their life and on the job and not having to spend that kind of money and time off of work.
That brings up another question in regard to employers and employees. How does this Legal Shield company work with the issue of immigration?
That's an excellent question. And, you know, without taking any opinion about immigration and politics, there are many people today in America that are here that are worried about their loved one, maybe about themselves, maybe about their immigration status, and they don't know where to turn to. They don't know who to ask, and maybe they cannot afford to do that. So our plan actually also covered immigration questions. So if somebody receives it either through their employer or even if they buy directly from us, they will be able to talk to an immigration attorney, get advice, and find out what are their rights and what they can do about it. And we will be able to help them out as well.
That sounds really valuable, definitely. And of course, we're in tax season. So have you ever been audited? I mean, I've been audited actually in my business 3 times over the years. Fortunately, it came out okay. I didn't have to go to prison or anything like that. but yeah. So what about, you know, it's tax season and you might get audited perhaps. That's kind of that happens.
Actually, absolutely. And part of the coverage is also IRS audit protection. So if a member of Legal Shield gets audited about the current or last year tax submission, we will actually assign a special tax attorney to help them out with that. And of course, not to mention that, you know, all along the year, they can have access to tax attorneys to help out with tax questions.
Pardon the interruption. I had to help my dog.
Luckily, mine is quiet today.
Before we get too far along here, Avi, this sounds so intriguing. I know that our viewers are going to want to know, well, how do I talk to this guy and how do I get access to this service? So what's the best way to contact you? You have a website or a phone number that you prefer? And that has all the information about everything you've described so far? Is that right?
Absolutely. For individuals, for small business owners, as well as for HR and corporations. And
so people can sign up online?
Absolutely. It's very convenient. They can actually sign up from their cell phone. Our mobile is, our website is actually mobile and responsive, and it's very convenient. It takes, 3-4 minutes to sign up. Very easy. Within 3 days, they will get a digital kit with all the information, membership numbers, and they will be able to call the law firm right then.
Wow, it sounds like this is something that everybody needs to look into. And you mentioned HR directors. So you can work with corporations, is that right? And as an employee benefit. How does that work?
Absolutely. So, among my clients are small businesses that have 5 employees and companies that have hundreds of employees. And when the company makes it available to their employees, there's no necessarily cost for the employer because it's self-funded by the employees, but the employees are able to get it under a group rate. So they pay less than the retail price, and they can use it for themselves and for their family. So employees are able to enroll either in the legal shield or the identity theft protection or in both, and basically pay for it through payroll deduction.
Oh, very good. So that's another interesting thing you just brought up, because that's a big deal today. You see these commercials all the time about, hey, who's watching your identity on the dark web? That's a catchphrase now, is the dark web. And what? So you offer an identity theft protection as a supplement to the Legal Shield plan?
Absolutely, absolutely. Actually, we have one of the most comprehensive identity theft protection on the market, and there are a few things that makes us very unique. One is that we monitor not only your financial information, but your all private and non-public information. Because 80% of identity theft cases will not show up on your credit report. So having a credit monitoring really may not be able to detect much. So we monitor things like your email addresses, your date of birth, your address, your phone numbers, your social media sites, your passport numbers, your driver license number, even your medical insurance number. And if we detect somebody tries to sell or buy it on the dark web, or if somebody tries to use your information, we send you an alert in real time through the mobile app that we have. Now, if it wasn't you who did that, you have immediate access to our special ID Shield line. And if you've been a victim of identity theft, we actually assign on a 1-to-1 ratio a private licensed investigator that will go to work on your behalf. So we do full restoration in all areas of identity theft, whether it takes 3 days or 3 months or 3 years. We do whatever it takes as long as it takes to restore your good name back to what it was before. So we actually put Humpty Dumpty back together for you while you could focus on your life. Because imagine if you've been a victim in 30 different states, could you imagine, would one know where to start? For those who ever tried to call Social Security Administration or DMV or IRS, right? Imagine trying to do that in 30 states. So our special licensed investigator will do that for you. And we also put on top of that a $5 million guarantee. So we're actually the only company in the space of identity theft that does full restoration through licensed private investigators. And again, we provide that service also for the entire family for about $1 a day.
That is just, I'm running out of words, like amazing, spectacular, to think of, because it's way more than monitoring your credit report on Experian or TransUnion or something. My wife wasn't a victim of identity theft. Years ago, her purse was stolen out of her car many years ago, and it looked like nothing seemed to come of it for a number of years. And then suddenly she got a phone call at her professional place of employment from a major cell phone company, which I won't tell you which one it was, but you'd know it if I told you, that said, "Oh, you have a outstanding bill of $18,000.
Yeah.
And so come to find out, that purse being stolen from previous years, her Social Security number showed up in like Louisiana and California or another state or somewhere, and yeah, it was just a mess. But we were able to get that taken care of, and grateful. But like you say, this is way more comprehensive than you hear the advertisers on identity theft even talk about. This goes in depth, it sounds like, Avi. So
absolutely. And just to add to the credential of that, actually, the ID Shield is provided by a legal shield partner called Kroll. Kroll, K-R-O-L-L. Kroll is the largest risk management in the world. Public company for over, they've been in business also since 1972, so 46 years. And they usually work with government and states and countries. But in 2003, they actually approached Legal Shield and asked them to market their identity theft, because their researchers started to see a trend. And I'm sure that back in 2003, if you did a Google search on identity theft, you wouldn't have seen any results. Today, if you do that, there are millions. So they actually were ahead of the curve. And in 2003, Legal Shield started to offer an identity theft protection. So that company that works with government and states, they're the one who actually stand behind our ID Shield product. And they're the one who have the capabilities. Because if they could research Saddam Hussein's finances, if they could restructure Enron, if they could find the gold bullions when the Twin Towers, collapsed, they're the one who could probably restore our identity.
So that's who is backing up a member of Legal Shield who has the identity theft added onto their program. That's who's behind this whole thing. Wow, it sounds like the A-Team from the 1980s TV show.
Exactly.
So what in the world, what is the dark web? You hear that phrase now, it's kind of like a new catchphrase, and people are scratching their heads like, what are they talking about, dark web?
Right, so it's kind of an underground world, right? There is the web where everybody is searching, and there is a different world which, hackers and people that are doing bad things know how to access, and basically it's like another layer of worldwide access to all kind of information, and most of it are not good. And this is where you could probably find and buy or sell a social security, a driver license, a credit card for pennies. So everything about us is out there, right? And it's not about whether you are online, whether you have a computer. Because I have people say, "Oh, I'm not worried about identity theft because I don't even have a computer, I don't have a smartphone, I don't shop online," and they don't understand that it's not about them, because all of our information is already out there. If you ever bought a house, your information is there. If you applied for a job, if you went to school, if you've been part of the Veteran Administration, if you have a driver license, if you file taxes. And in most cases, it's all these institutions and organizations and companies that have data breaches, and they lose our information. Even our DNA is already out there. So it's not about us, and there is no really way to prevent it. The only question is, how do you deal with it? How does your life look like once you become a victim? And that's where we come into play, right? So it's all about risk mitigation.
It sounds like a major nightmare if you're not doing something to protect yourself, because unlike the justice system where we're supposedly innocent until proven guilty, in the area of identity theft, it's like we're guilty until proven innocent.
Absolutely. It's one of it's that one crime where you are guilty until proven innocent, right? If the law officer, as I mentioned before, stops you on a routine traffic check, asks for driver license registration, goes back to the cruiser, comes back and says, "Sir, could you please step out of the vehicle?" Would you agree that's already not a good sign? And you say, what's going on? You say, "Hey, I have here a bench warrant for your arrest because you got a DUI in Louisiana and you never showed up to court." And you may say, "Sir, officer, I've never been in Louisiana in my life." Do you think that that would help? No, you're going to jail, and now you need to hire an attorney and prove that it wasn't you who got that DUI.
And you know, doctors now have been required to have electronic medical records. So what about medical identity theft?
So it's actually interesting because when we switched from a paper databases to electronic, identity theft became actually worse because now all these databases are communicating between them. So if there is an error in one place, now it goes back and proliferate to all the other databases. So if somebody, gets a fake ID and a fake insurance card, they can now go to the doctor, have procedures, and imagine, if a mother needs to take her child to the doctor, she will do whatever she can, right, to get treatment, and or for herself, and they go in, and the doctor says, you need to do a blood test. So they go to the lab, they do a blood test, and guess in whose records all this information goes? Into the original person. So let's say if they have a blood type B and you have a blood type A, now it overrides your blood type. You may go back to the doctor one day for treatment or for surgery, or you need to get some drugs and you get the wrong drug or you get the wrong treatment. And in some situations, you can actually die. So actually, a medical identity theft is one of those situations where a person can actually die because of that.
That is very scary. Speaking of dying, you read in the newspaper just from time to time where someone has stolen the identity of someone who's in the cemetery, and that's pretty scary as well.
Absolutely. And we say that when is a drug dealer out of business? When they're out of drugs, right? But an identity thief is never out of business, because once they get hold on a credit card, on a social security, on a driver license, they can keep reselling it endless times. So, and most of it is also done from overseas, from offshore, and a very, very small percentage of it are caught. If you call the law enforcement, they say, "Hey, I just lost my wallet," they really don't do much about it because A, they're not equipped, they don't have the resources, they don't know what to do. So you can't really get much help if you become a victim of identity theft. You are pretty much on your own.
And what is really aggravating and irritating is the idea that a child could have their identity. So I remember when my children were little, we had already gotten their Social Security numbers for them, even as children. And so what's the impact of child identity theft? Is that a true thing that's happening out there?
Absolutely. Actually, it's very interesting because for an identity theft to get hold on a child's information, it's many years of safe work, because children don't have any records. They shouldn't have a credit report, and shouldn't have credit cards, bank accounts, or credit history. So it gives them an opportunity of many years of keep reselling it without nobody knowing about that. And one of my clients, actually, their daughter was a victim since she was 12 years old. Somebody was using a social, open up credit cards, and only when she became 16 and they went to the bank to open up a bank account, she was told that, she has such a bad credit that she cannot open up a credit card. So when we are adults, we try to monitor those things, but for children, we don't. So actually, children, it's very important to have something like that and to monitor that. And actually, our ID Shield product does also gives the protection also for children.
So they're monitoring this, and every month, clients of Identity Theft Shield get some kind of a report.
Actually, they don't get a report because they get alert in real time when we detect something.
Oh, that's different.
Right. So you don't need that monthly report. We track your credit score, and it's all provided on the mobile app. So when you open up your mobile app, you'll see your credit score, and all the alerts will be there. So when you get an alert, you just tap the app, and it gives you the history and what triggered that alert. So you can know exactly what it was. And our Family ID Shield also covers children up to the age of 18. So if they become victims, we will actually go out and do all the restoration for them as well.
To the age of 18, you said?
Yes.
Wow. You know, that Yahoo email breach was all over the news. What happened with that? What should I do? I hear such and such company's breach that has my information, and so how does that occur? What should someone do?
Well, actually, as an ID Shield member, the first thing that you want to do is tap the app and connect to an identity theft specialist. And based on the situation, they will tell you what to do. For example, a couple of weeks ago, I got an alert on my app that I had an email breach. So I called, the ID Shield line, and the investigator told me that the system found my email address on a shady website. And I said, really? And did they also find my password? And he said, yes. And said, what is it? Because I wanted to see if that's real or not. And actually, the investigator was able to tell me the password, and that was really my password. So I asked him what to do. He said, you want to go back to your Gmail and change your email address, your email password immediately. So we also track and use your email addresses and see if somebody tries to use that. So whenever you have a question, and with our ID Shield product, you could actually call and get advice to educate yourself not only when you had a problem, but only for preventive and education purposes. You can call and get advice what to do and how to do to protect yourself.
So this has been an incredible conversation. We've covered a lot of ground on something that not everybody knows about, but it sounds to me like everybody needs and everybody should have this, especially since it's less than your car insurance, less than your house insurance, but it covers a whole spectrum of areas, from the legal side, the identity theft side, which also can become very legal very fast. And can I still contact Identity Theft Shield if I don't have an Identity Theft Shield account?
You can, but they will tell you, please get with a legal Shield representative so you could get enrolled in the program.
And is that also on your website in terms of somebody signing up directly online, like today?
Absolutely. If somebody goes right now to the website, they can sign up for the legal plan, they can sign up for the identity theft plan, and get the ball rolling right away. It takes about 24 hours to 48 hours to process it, and once it's processed, you'll get an email notifying you with your membership number, and you could start using it and actually call the ID Shield line to get advice what to do, how to prepare yourself, how to protect yourself in any area of identity theft.
What is your cancellation policy?
Actually, it's very interesting. Since we do not have a long-term contract on neither plans, a member can opt out at any time from our plan. So members can keep it as long as they want to. No
risk, really.
Exactly. There is no risk. And that's the beauty of our service.
Fantastic. So just to clarify my thinking, are there different levels of membership? We talked about big corporations as an employee benefit, small business owners, families and individuals. Are there different levels of benefits that people should consider? Especially, we've got thousands of small business owners here in our area, despite the fact that we have these mega corporations right around us. what should they be looking for? Something enhanced, perhaps?
So actually, we have 3 different plans for small businesses. For those who have less than 10 employees, for those who have less than 50, and those who have less than 100 employees. So they can actually buy a legal plan for their business to help them with all kind of business situation, business transactions. Maybe they have questions about their lease on their office. Maybe it's about hiring or firing, HR questions. They can talk to an employment attorney. Maybe they have an issue with a vendor. Maybe it's a business transaction. So they have basically also a law firm on call for all their business needs. And they can actually assign the CEO or the HR or the bookkeeper to have access to it and utilize it. So anytime, for example, when the HR has a question, they don't need to get an approval from the president because it's $500 per phone call. They can just pick up the phone and call because they have unlimited, advice and consultation. So it empowers those small businesses to get advice and be more successful in what they do. And that's also provided for a very low monthly fee between, $40 to about $150 a month. They can actually have a law firm on call.
That's very powerful, very powerful. So it reminds me of a situation where one time my wife had a little accident at a retail store that was the fault of the store. They were responsible. But I think we paid like $400 for an attorney to write a letter to the corporate headquarters of this retail store to cover, medical bills and what happens. And that's a typical $200, $400 is like a drop in the bucket for somebody to write a letter, or a company to write a collection letter to one of their vendors, for example. But it sounds to me like you've got a plan.
Absolutely. And we will write those letters included in the membership.
Included. Like
Absolutely.
No invoice, no bill. It just gets taken care of.
Absolutely. Absolutely. From little situations. So whether you have a $5 situation or a $5,000 situation, it doesn't matter for the law firms because they get paid anyway. So they can focus on doing the right thing and protect the legal rights of every American.
That's fantastic. Avi, thank you for being with us. I'm talking with Avi Gingold, our local representative for Legal Shield and Identity Theft Shield. Get your questions answered if you have any concerns. Is this legit? Is it any good? What can I expect? Avi can answer all of your questions before you make a decision, but don't wait too long because you never know. One more question, Avi. So if someone has something that comes up, be it some kind of legal issue, but they haven't signed up yet, and then they sign up, is that going to be covered?
Yes. Actually, even if they have a situation going on right now, they can call me. They can go online and sign up, and we will be able to help them out. Absolutely.
So even if it's a retroactive situation, they can at least get help. Is that right?
Exactly. But I usually recommend get it before something happens, so it will not happen.
Oh, that's a great answer. Great answer. So, Avi, thank you so much for being with us. Anything else that you can think of that I really forgot to ask you that you wanted to highlight before we go? And before you answer that, I also would highly encourage HR directors, small business owners, anybody who has anything in public, you need a plan. Sounds to me like, and Avi's your man to talk to. So anything else, Avi, that you'd like to mention before we kind of wrap up our conversation today?
No, I just would like to thank you for inviting me to your program here today. It's really an honor and a pleasure. And thank you very much.
Oh, great to have you with us. So go to my website. This will be replayed on freshstartleadercoach.com, and you can watch this over and over again. But be sure, first of all, get a hold of Avi. Hey, I wanted to thank you for watching today's podcast. As a bonus, I've got a free book for you by my good friend, David Sharp. It's called Legendary Marketer, How to Build a Digital Marketing Business. It's yours free. Just pay shipping. So go ahead and grab your book right now. Go to davehenningcoaching.com. When you claim your free book today, you'll also get instant access to 2 exclusive bonuses. David is going to give you his 15 Steps to Online Profits video training and a free live one-on-one strategy session, all free. Claim your free book, 15-step video training, and one-on-one strategy session now. Go to davehenningcoaching.com. And again, thanks for watching the podcast. I look forward to seeing you again next time. Have a great day.